Good evening and Happy New Year. My name is Len Foy and I'm a real estate attorney in Nashua, New Hampshire. And today is January 5th, so Happy New Year to those of you who are taking the time out of your busy schedules to watch this video production given by myself. Again, my name is Len Foy and I'm a real estate attorney in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I've taken full advantage of my opportunities to create these short sort of documentary productions telling you a little bit about my office and my practice and the different ways in which I may be able to assist you with your next real estate transaction. So I recently did a video in which I laid out 5 successful strategies or tips for buyers and sellers of real estate, and that video took me almost 45 minutes, which I guess, if I could do any math, would average about 9 to 10 minutes per tip, which is too long. It was too, it's a lengthy video. It's so worthwhile. It's filled with anecdotes, personal and professional experiences. So those of you who haven't had the opportunity to view it, I encourage you to do so. But we always have to pay attention to the interests of time, and people have busy schedules and people don't typically have 45 minutes to devote to a video on buying and selling real estate or tips or strategies or anything like that. So what I thought I would do is I thought I would break down each individual tip and try my best to deliver a succinct video production on that tip alone, and try to make it useful and try to make it informational and try to make it somewhat short. So my goal is to make this video no longer than 10 minutes in duration. But again, just a short biography. My name is Len Foy. I'm a real estate attorney in Nashua, New Hampshire. I say real estate attorney, I mean really, I've been practicing law for just about 20 years. I think February of this year, 2015, will be my 20-year swearing-in anniversary. I think it was 20 years ago in February I was formally sworn in the state of California and formally admitted as an attorney. So I've been practicing law for just about 20 years, and in that 20 years I've handled divorce matters, tax matters, state court litigation, federal court litigation, securities fraud cases, personal injury cases, employment cases. I've prepared trusts, I've organized businesses. So really, I have worked on a nearly infinite number and type of different cases and matters. So certainly I'm not limited to real estate, but as it happens and as things have turned out for me professionally, my practice has evolved into a real estate practice. So I would say that upwards of 95% of the matters that I handle these days are real estate matters. And I'll handle non-real estate matters on a case-by-case basis, depending upon how I feel about the case involved. Certainly, any case that you may have, feel free to contact my office for a free consultation, and I'd be happy to walk you through it. Perhaps refer you to a more qualified attorney, or in some instances, handle it myself. But with that said, with that prologue, and I'll leave contact information at the end of this video, I wanted to concentrate my efforts this evening on the first tip that I gave, which was that buyers and sellers of real estate should always retain counsel to represent them. And I realize that there are cost limitations that we are all beholden to, and I certainly would never minimize those restrictions and those limitations. But I just feel that, there are many instances in life when we would love to have that proverbial legal team behind us, going on vacation and being asked to sign a waiver form to get on a ride or participate in an event. As a lawyer, even I've struggled sometimes try to pull those documents apart. When you go on vacation, when you rent a car, do you buy the insurance or don't you? Because there are legal implications if you do or if you don't. And I guess all I'm trying to say is that wouldn't it be nice if we had a battery of attorneys to advise us and guide us through our daily lives and to advise us on the legal issues that we seem to be confronting on almost a daily basis. But that's fantasy. None of us, very few of us, have the means to do that. But the beauty of a real estate lawyer is that, by and large, real estate attorneys and real estate legal services are not terribly expensive. I'm fond of saying that it's typically hundreds and not thousands of dollars. So with some obvious exceptions, and certainly the most glaring exception would be if you find yourself ensnared in real estate litigation, then that can be tens of thousands of dollars. But if you hire a real estate attorney to assist you on a limited basis in a real estate transaction, and you're able to define the boundaries of work to be done and tasks and duties to be performed by the attorney, I think most people would be pleasantly surprised to see just how affordable it really is. So it's that old adage that where they say, you can't afford not to do a particular thing. I think when it comes to hiring an attorney to assist you with a real estate transaction, or to assist a buyer or a seller with a real estate transaction, I think very often that is the mindset that I have. People really can't afford, I wouldn't say can't afford not to hire an attorney, but I would say you can't afford to not at least consider hiring an attorney. So if you are buying or selling real estate, before you rule out the possibility of retaining an attorney, I would say at least investigate it. At least, call my office. Ask your realtor to make a referral. Talk to friends, colleagues, neighbors, family members. See if anyone in your sphere of influence has worked successfully with a real estate attorney, and call upon that person. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised to find that real estate attorneys are not as expensive as you think. And I would go further than that. If you make the obligatory phone calls and you reach out and you speak to some attorneys and you find that their fees are too expensive, because most attorneys will quote you a fee which runs from pillar to post, essentially. The inception of the transaction, the genesis of the transaction, to the end of the transaction, culminating with the closing of the transaction. So it begins with an offer and a purchase and sales agreement. There are 100 things that occur along the way, and then finally it reaches a climax at the closing itself, and typically the attorney that you represent, or that you retain rather, will be there at the closing with you, unless a different arrangement has been made. So with that said, most attorneys will quote a legal fee which encompasses the entire transaction from beginning until closing. You certainly can negotiate with an attorney or negotiate with an attorney to have him or her represent you on as I would say, an a la carte basis, which means, well, I'm not going to have you work with me on everything, but I would like to have you work with me on certain discrete tasks along the way. Review my purchase and sales agreement. Prepare my deed. I'm having an issue or a conflict with the seller or the buyer. Assist me with it. Advise me as to what my rights and my responsibilities are. Attend the closing with me and review the documents with me. You don't need to attend the closing with me, but if I send you the settlement statement, will you review it and let me know what your thoughts are? Most attorneys, I mean, I'll speak only for myself, but I suspect that many of my colleagues would consider, if a reasonable proposition were being made to assist a client on an a la carte basis, assisting them with perhaps certain features or certain aspects of the transaction, but not the entire transaction, with the understanding being that because it was a reduced workload, it would likely be a reduced legal fee. So let's talk a little bit about fees, because we're on the subject. Sellers typically are looking at a fee to represent them in preparing a deed, preparing or purchase and sales agreement, or reviewing a purchase and sales agreement which has been prepared by the buyer or the buyer's attorney or the buyer's realtor. Perhaps preparing a power of attorney so that a seller could send their attorney to the closing in their place to sign documents for them. That's not the entire universe of work that a seller might need, legal work, but those are the things that certainly stand out to me. With buyers, fees are more complicated because there's the fee to represent a buyer, there's the fee or the legal fee or the settlement fee in connection with handling a real estate closing on behalf of the buyer, and then there's title insurance, which can be further subdivided into owner's title insurance and lender's title insurance. It would be irresponsible of me, and I think probably impossible, for me to really get into the specifics of fees, you know, as if to say, well, I could handle this closing for such and such dollar amount. What I would always tell people is, please call my office for a quote and for a free consultation so that we can discuss the body of work to be performed and the associated legal cost of assisting you with it. Again, I know for myself, I have built my practice by trying to make my fees as affordable as possible. I come from a middle-class background, so I'm very sensitive to the costliness of legal services. I don't really remember my parents ever really having the resources to hire an attorney, and they were left to sort of, you know, kind of represent themselves or to be sort of on their own when it came to needing legal advice. So that's very much my background. So I certainly don't come from a situation where lawyers were plentiful, and so I'm mindful of that and I'm sensitive of that. And going to law school was a great honor for me. And one of the things that I've always tried to do as a part of my practice is to make my services affordable so that I can reach the broadest and most diverse group of potential clients and make my services available to as many people as possible. And I know that the way to do that is to make my services affordable. So anyways, I'll come down off my soapbox and my bully pulpit, but I guess the way I would wrap up this video, and again, I think this has been a short one, and I'm hopeful that it's been a short one because many of my videos have just been too lengthy, and I'm certainly sensitive to that. But I think what I really wanted to hammer home in this video concisely is that, in my opinion, and if you're asking my opinion, I think that anybody who is buying or selling real estate needs to hire an attorney. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, and they should hire the attorney to help them from the beginning of the transaction until it's finished. That's number one. 1A, if you are not in a financial position to do that, then I would recommend that you try to negotiate with an attorney to represent you on what I would call an a la carte basis. Have the attorney discuss what you consider to be the most imperative tasks to be performed, or the things that you're most concerned about, or you're most worried about, or you view as being the most critical to the success of the transaction, and simply have the attorney represent you in connection with those items, which you and the attorney can agree to in advance. If you're a buyer, you will have certain needs and wants. If you are a seller, you will have certain needs and wants, and they can be discussed individually with the attorney, and I'm hopeful that that attorney will be me. Again, my name is Len Foy, and I'll give you my contact information. I can be reached by telephone at area code 603-598-4030. If I am not available, leave a message with a member of my team, or you can leave a message in my voicemail. My email address is going to be lfoy@foylawoffice.com. So that's my email. We are available on the internet, the World Wide Web, at www.foylawoffice.com. You can send a fax If you do, I will read it, and I will attempt to get back in touch with you as best I can. Our fax number is 603-598-4020. Before we can delve into all of these wonderful issues surrounding real estate transactions, and when I say issues, of course, I mean legal issues, we have to deal with a threshold issue. And that threshold issue is, will you even have an attorney representing you? I hope that you will, and that certainly would be my advice to you. That was my first tip in my wonderful 45-minute video, which I hope you'll take the time to watch in its entirety at some point. But short of that, we're going to break it down into individual segments, and this is tip number 1. And it's number 1 for a reason, because it's the most important tip I have to offer you. Find a way to hire an attorney to represent you if you are buying or selling real estate. I'm an attorney admitted in a number of states, including Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Maine. So in any of those 3 states, I can provide legal services to you. In other jurisdictions, in the jurisdiction of Rhode Island specifically, I am not admitted as an attorney, but I am authorized to conduct real estate transactions. So there may be a way for me to assist you if that is your situation. My name is Len. Please call me if you have any interest whatsoever in discussing a real estate matter with me or in possibly retaining me to represent you. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful 2015, and I look forward to receiving your call. Thank you, and thank you for watching my video. Good night.